Right around the corner from the start of the NBA season, big question is, how will the Lakers' big three stack up? Will Russell Westbrook actually be able to figure it out, make it work, make it fit, whether he comes off the bench, whether he starts? Now, beyond that, the Lakers are reported to start ramping up trade talks once again when the season begins, and try to find a deal that is worthy of, giving up both first-round picks, or, just a first-round pick, or whatever the case may be, as well as Russell Westbrook, right? And in return, get some pieces that really help them now and potentially in the future. There's not a ton of valuable free agents this upcoming offseason, and so the big question is, should the Lakers just do a deal? But even with no major free agents, the idea of what you gain by not just doing a trade to do a trade is valuable in and of itself, right? Having that cap space, having those assets to where if a trade does pop up, well, then now you're in a position to, capitalize on that trade, or, in the offseason, work out a sign and trade, whatever you need to do in order to improve the team. Now, obviously, the Lakers would like to find a deal this season, and with the whole Victor Wembanyama, it's very likely as the season progresses, more and more deals are going to be on the table, and Russell Westbrook just becomes more and more valuable. One team that I've thrown out there in the past is the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls being a team to just kind of keep your eye on. Not saying anything is going to happen, not saying that they're going to trade anybody, but there's a lot of questions with Chicago in the really stacked Eastern Conference. I mean, the Eastern Conference is really good this season, and so Chicago could be on the outside looking in, or in the play-in, something along those lines. And Chicago may be looking to unload some guys and just say, hey, we're not good enough to contend, not good enough to compete. Why are we paying all these guys? We got some older guys, got some free agents this upcoming season. Lonzo Ball's injured, all of those things. Let's just start unloading guys. And we're starting to see reports that the Lakers and the Bulls may potentially do a deal at some point, that the Lakers are kind of gauging it and, may inquire about a potential deal to try to acquire Demar DeRozan. And the deal would basically, based on the report, centered around Demar DeRozan and Alex Caruso for Russell Westbrook and 2 first-round picks. Now, obviously, Demar DeRozan has every chance he's gotten talked about wanting to go to the Lakers. He thought it was a done deal. He thought he was going to the Lakers, and the Lakers ended up going elsewhere. So this would kind of be one of those things where Lakers could kind of right or wrong, get a scoring guard that could really help kind of fill that void of scoring. Now, DeMar isn't a great three-point shooter, so it doesn't really help with your three-point shooting, but just a guy that could go and get you a bucket, and if he can replicate anything close to what he did last year, he would be a huge value for the Lakers, as well as getting back Alex Caruso, who many people really wanted the Lakers to keep and retain and not let go. He ends up going, so an opportunity to get him back would be really huge. Now, also, in this deal, very likely, the Chicago Bulls would have to add another piece because the money doesn't match for these. But basically, it'd be a package centered around Caruso and DeMar DeRozan. Whatever that third piece is would kind of just be up for negotiation. Maybe you could get a Vucevic, or maybe you get Lonzo Ball back, right? Big question is, can he stay healthy? If he can, he could be a valuable piece. He's another piece that people really want to see come back. Now, of course, you're trading a guard for 2 guards, and the Lakers already have so many guards, so I don't think that this really helps the wing depth issue, but you get some pieces that really could make an impact now. Alex Caruso was great and a huge factor for the Lakers in general, and so if you could work out this deal and, say you get DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, and then insert your other guy. Now, they only would be off by like just under $2 million. So maybe you don't even get a third piece. Maybe it's like a throw-in, like a Green or something like that, where it's like they're just kind of throwing in a salary that the Lakers just end up waiving, and then there's that. So it's not guaranteed that they're going to be able to get a Vucevic or something like that. But if they could, like say you could get, DeMar, and Alex Caruso, like that's a really good rotation to add to the team that the Lakers already have, right? Just think of like the possibilities. I mean, you could have like say an Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, Anthony Davis and Vucevic, right? You got some scoring, you got some defense, you got some, shooting, you got a little bit of everything on that team. That could be a solid rotation for the Lakers. And you get two guys that, one is already proven with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, plus Caruso and like Austin Reeves, like those type of players that are just those quality role players that work really well with LeBron, I think would be really valuable, those two in and of themselves. And then, of course, having a guy like Demar DeRozan that can just go be a bucket getter, right? A guy that can close games down in the stretch. If I'm not mistaken, he was first in clutch points last season. So he was really good at closing out games and knocking down shots and just kind of winning games for the Chicago Bulls. So if he could translate that to the Lakers, then the Lakers really have a quality just scorer and just closer for this team, which the Lakers had a lot of problems last season closing games. A lot of problems closing games. So if you could get a guy that can close those games for you, that would be hugely beneficial. He's a guy that can kind of carry the load as well. If an Anthony Davis or like LeBron James are out a game, you got that third guy that can kind of keep you afloat, keep you in the games. DeMar DeRozan, wants to be a Laker, would love to be a Laker, and he's not that expensive. Like, he's got a reasonable salary, and so that only becomes more valuable. Also, his timeline matches up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So you could essentially have an entirely clean book once LeBron decides to do whatever he wants to do. Now, if they're good and they're contenders, and let's say they are coming off of a championship or whatever, then all these guys could re-sign. It gives you options, gives you flexibility. But worst case, you basically have like entirely free books come, the 2026 season, something like that. And you're lined up, you're good. 2025 into 2026, I believe. But you're good regardless. And so it is something to at least, I think, explore if you're the Lakers. I think Chicago is a real option, because if they're a middle-in-the-pack team, do they want to pay all this money for a team that just isn't good enough to get it done? Maybe you keep Zach LaVine and kind of get some assets and some pieces to move around LaVine, or you just full-fledged rebuild, right? Like, say you're like the 10th or 11th seed in the Eastern Conference, and it's like, December, right? And it's like, we're bad. It's not looking good. Why don't we just tank for Victor and you just trade everybody? That's not out of the realm of possibility if you're the Chicago Bulls. And, I do think Chicago is really a team to look out for. But from Chicago's side, when it comes to Russ, two things can happen. Either A, you could, if you're Chicago, use Russell Westbrook and actually play him, right? And have Russ and LaVine. You're kind of getting that scoring output. If with Chicago, you kind of let Russ be Russ more than he already is, kind of gives you that point guard that Lonzo's out, and he's a guy that is proven that he can help win games, and maybe he can help you kind of push to the playoffs. If LaVine and DeMar aren't really working, I don't know if Russ and LaVine would work, but it's a possibility. Russ is a guy that can go get you a triple-double. And look, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, with a bunch of essentially nobodies, took the Wizards to the playoffs, 2 seasons ago? So it's not, again, out of the realm of possibility that Russell Westbrook could help lead this team to at least the playoffs. Or if you're Chicago, you take that, you get a clean board wipe, and you end up just buying them out or unloading them or whatever, or just sending them home, whatever. If you want to just embrace the tank. So from Chicago's side, one, you get the 2 firsts, which is really good for them. Also, if you do, like, say, include a Vucevic or something like that, maybe you could get a winning Gabriel or something, a guy that maybe you like, or at that point, if it's in like December, January, you could probably trade for, a Thomas Bryant, something along those lines if you wanted to, or one of the other like kind of role guys, if you like any of the role guys that the Lakers have. Like, you're like, because a lot of them are really young still, so maybe Chicago's like, this guy would be good, I think he could kind of build. Not saying that they would or they would want to, but it's just something, again, to explore. But with Russ, you could either go either way if you're Chicago. You could either have him, test him out, see if he works, and kind of gauge it from there. If it does work, like, let's say it's great and it's a good fit, then maybe you re-sign him for a smaller deal. Like I said, I really think there's going to be a team next season if Russ can kind of prove himself this season, which he is making the effort to. Now, will it last an 82-game season? We'll see. But if he went to a team like Chicago that's kind of like retooling, I guess, then Chicago, like, he's going to get to be Russ more than he's ever been, at least with the Lakers. So who knows? Maybe he could kind of pick up that slack, get back to being Russell Westbrook that we know, and then maybe get a real deal. You know, I don't think he's ever going to be a $47 million a year guy again, but maybe he could get a contract in like the 18 to 20 million range, especially with the way that contracts are just kind of handed out in the NBA. I still think Russ is good enough to sort of earn that type of contract, but I don't know. I think from a Lakers perspective, you know, do you do it? You know, like that's the big, $1 million question. If you're the Lakers, do you take this deal and go get a DeMar DeRozan? My thing is, like, I think it could work, and I think it would be pretty good. But are they like a bona fide contender? You know, are they a team that I mean, no championship is guaranteed, but are they closer to a championship? Because, I mean, look, DeMar is great. He's got good size at 6'6". He can play the 2. He can play the 3 if you need him to. But he is 33 years old. So it's like, does that work? He has played at the 4 spot here and there. So you could even do that. Play him at the 2, 3, 4. He's also playmade before. So, like, him being a playmaker and being more of a facilitator, we've seen over the years kind of his game evolve. And he actually was pretty good defensively. He really was. He was pretty good defensively. Like, Pop and him going to San Antonio, like, completely reinvented his career. He, like, last season, for example, he shot 50% from the field, 27, just under 28 points per game, had 5 rebounds and 5 assists. Like, that's solid. And I mean, this isn't like an anomaly. I mean, he's put up, since going to San Antonio, he's put up 21 to 22 points a game, along with, 5 to 6 rebounds and 5 or 6 assists. And in 2020, he put up 20, just under 22 points, 4 rebounds, and almost 7 assists. So he's really developed into a legit playmaker as well. So you could even run him at the point if you needed to, kind of have him, and maybe even go like a bigger lineup if you wanted to, or like a closing lineup, have him at the 1, maybe like a Walker at the 2, or you could go Beverly at the 2, Walker at the 3, LeBron at the 4, Davis at the 5, something like that. Again, you have some possibilities. Or Caruso. Again, you could have these 4 and then add like a Walker, and now you got some good length, some good size, some good defense, some good shooting, a little bit of everything. I think that it is something that could work. I mean, I think, if I'm being honest, I think it would be better than what it is right now. Like, I don't think it could be any worse than it is as far as fit-wise goes with Russ. But, like, with age and everything like that, is that something that you think would be good enough to get done? Is that something that you think would be good enough to actually win a championship? Because, I mean, again, DeMar DeRozan doesn't solve our three-point shooting. He shoots around 33% from 3, which is below league average. He has had years where he shot better, but, for his career, he's about 32%, 32 to 33%. So you don't get a ton of three-point shooting from him. Alex Caruso is a guy that, he's that 3-and-D, just plays off of LeBron really well, so you know what you get there. DeMar DeRozan gives you that mid-range, though, which, I mean, you see a lot of, like, the elite teams have that mid-range threat, a guy that can kind of, create his own shot, get to the paint. So I do think that there are pros and cons. I don't think this solves our three-point shooting, and I don't think this solves our wing defense, which is very likely going to be a big problem. But, like I said, I mean, if you could get, especially if you could get like a Vucevic in this deal somehow, because he's an expiring contract. So, Chicago, and if they're tanking, why not? Like that's like, if I was the Lakers, I'd be like, throw in Vucevic. We'll give you both first. You get a center, a shooting guard, and a shooting guard, small forward. That's some good flexibility, some good versatility. A guy that can play the center, that's a big body to go up against, the Jokers and the Embiids of the world, stuff like that. Anthony Davis can then play full time at the 5 or at the 4. If you absolutely need to like close, like say it's a game 7, you're trying to close, you could run Davis. But I think you get some nice flexibility, some nice versatility. I don't know. It's a little tricky. Personally, I'd rather have Kyrie. Like, if you could get Kyrie and Joe Harris in the offseason and, like, a sign and trade deal or something like that, or if, like, they implode. But the problem is like, it goes to the whole, like, one in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? If you have the opportunity to get this deal done, do you do it or do you wait and hope and see if something better comes along? Because there might not be anything better. And so, I don't know. I think if you're the Lakers, I think you got to do the deal. Like, if this ends up becoming a thing and this actually can be a deal and you can kind of get a package centered around DeMar and Alex Caruso for Russell Westbrook at 2 firsts, I think if you're the Lakers, you got to do it. I really do. I think it's something that has to be done. But, again, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think? Is this something that you would do? Is this something that you wouldn't? Do you think the Lakers, like if this deal ends up being on the table, you got to take it, get it done, or do you think otherwise? However you feel, good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below.